Good evening. My name is Marco Garza. What I'll be covering is human resources. A little bit of background. I know I have it at the end, but I'll share you a little bit of background. I have what's called a PEO. I own a professional employer organization. So essentially, the topics that we're going to be covering, I actually help and work with many businesses in various industries manage the HR functions within their organizations, their companies, at an administrative level. With all the changes that we're seeing in the environment, especially in healthcare, given managed care and implementation of managed care, there's going to be opportunities for I guess you could look at it from a strength, weaknesses, opportunities, threats standpoint. The key part here that we're going to be covering within HR, I'm going to give you the topic sequence in a minute and share a little bit of what we're talking about. But the main question we're asking is, how do you utilize human resources to achieve and enhance organizational performance? So human resources can be one of those functions of, you can look at it as a necessary evil. But honestly, with where we're going at in our environment, not just in healthcare, but especially business in general in these next 2 or 3 years, leveraging human resources to enhance organizational performance is going to be a critical component to the success formula going forward. So real quick, this is just a measure of some small business problems of importance. So we're also a member of the National Federation of Independent Businesses. So what this is just business owners. Like I said, I talk and work with many businesses across multiple industries. So this is an interesting slide. It's changed where the cost of, before it used to be cost of healthcare has always been up, but uncertainty of economic conditions. So these are the factors that businesses are looking at, and you're seeing a bit of a change. And actually, this is what's interesting. I want to point out 2 things here. Uncertainty over economic conditions, it's new. And then also uncertainty over government actions, that's a new component. So if things were not complicated enough, we have 2 new things in the bucket we have to manage and work through. So this adds to the complexity of not just managing a business, but creating a successful business. Go to the next slide. Just real quick, this is an interesting one. I'm a bit of an HR geek, but here you have the laws, 2000. These are the number of laws, HR laws, and the key title here, the growing burden of employment, law and regulation. So that's 2000, there's even more. And so there's multiple things. The daily challenges of a business owner or a practice manager, these are just as it relates to HR, things that they have to manage just within their HR function on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. This is essentially the flow of the course. I won't go through all of these, but essentially the three main categories. And the flow of this is essentially that of the employee life cycle. So I kind of wanted to give you a kind of walk through HR as it relates to an employee life cycle. And I categorize them in 3 sections. Preparation, this is how you prep, this is how you manage these functions. And from a sustainability standpoint, how do you maintain your practice? These are the 3 main areas. So first, very quickly, staffing strategy, realizing what do I have to do now? I have to evaluate my staffing strategy, whereas maybe before that was not a critical topic. If you're not, so we're talking about utilization. This is a key area. Before you start any practice, you're asking yourself, who do I need and where do I need them? Recruitment and orientation, what kind of person? Hiring practices. We're talking a little bit earlier, how do I make sure that I get the right person in the door? And how do I do that when maybe as within an industry, we don't communicate enough? So how do I know, how do I coordinate and make sure I'm bringing the right person in my practice? Managing retention. How do I keep the good ones? What's my performance management system? With all these key performance metrics that are coming down the pipe, how do I turn these into actionable things from an HR standpoint to hold my staff and my practice accountable the right way? Compensation and benefits, and then we move on to the sustained part, training and development, not just from a compliance standpoint, but from an effectiveness standpoint. And one of my favorites, succession planning. Nobody plans to work forever, but how do I start looking at how do I transition out of this world but still ensure my practice sustains itself? Well, that's succession planning. and it has a very different context within a physician's practice as it relates to HR. And then, of course, employment law, you can make an argument that's across all of them. So these are the topics. The underlining theme across all of these is legal risk factors and considerations. And also, if there's anything you wanted to add here, or you'll wait till maybe a wrap up. All right. So that's a mouthful. I promise the slides won't be that loud next time, but look.
Wear sunglasses.
Right, wear sunglasses. I look forward to working with you in the course, and we'll have some good fun throughout. Thanks.